Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Steve Malzberg Show. It is Thursday. Judith Miller joins us momentarily. The president of the Yankees, former deputy mayor of New York, Randy Levine, joins us as well. Your calls, much more. But here's what John Boehner said today about Ted Cruz, and all heck is breaking loose. Watch.
How about Ted Cruz? Lucifer in the flesh. In Washington, I have as many Democrat friends as I have Republican friends. I get along with almost everybody. But I have never worked with a more miserable son of a bitch.
All right. Cruz's response was, I never worked with Boehner. I don't really know him. I don't even think I ever met him. He was his lawyer back in the 90s. There's a Seattle Times story from 98 that says Boehner's lawyer, Ted Cruz. I don't even know what to say anymore. I really don't. I don't. Lying Ted? Lack of memory Ted? I report, you decide. And joining us now, I'm very happy to say, is Judith Miller, former New York Times investigative reporter, Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, Fox News commentator, and author of The Story, A Reporter's Journey. It's now out in paperback, ladies and gentlemen. There it is on your screen. So great to see you, as always. So much to talk about. We'll get to the book, but let's talk about the news of the day. John Boehner calling Ted Cruz Lucifer in the flesh. Cruz responds by saying, I never met the man. I don't even know the man. And then there's this Seattle Times story from '98 where apparently Cruz is speaking on behalf of Boehner as his attorney. What do you make of all this nonsense?
Maybe it was another Ted Cruz or another John Boehner.
You know what? I don't know. It would be highly unlikely, though. Yeah.
I think that's highly unlikely, but that's politics in our country today, correct?
Well, what do you make of Boehner weighing in that manner in the first place?
You know, I think it reflects what we all knew and we had forgotten about as Cruz became the acceptable alternative to Donald Trump for the Republican establishment, which is that Cruz was so disliked in the Senate, and Boehner was a charter member of that club. So you could just see the politicians hated Cruz for reasons, by the way, that still have yet to be fully reported.
Well, what are they?
Well, you know, I don't know, because I'm not in Washington these days. I'm around all over. What I'm hearing is that he was not a man of his word, that you thought you had made a deal with Ted Cruz, and then he would back away and do his own thing, or, you know, stab you in the back, or
is that
say
within his own, was it within his own party?
Within his own party, and that's why you get someone like John McCain, who does not speak ill of fellow Republicans. He abides by the, you know, the Reagan rule, and yet he's made an exception for Ted Cruz. So you see a lot of ill will towards the man, and there was a kind of, all right, let me get the clothespin. I'm going to hold my nose,
and
we're going to circle around Cruz because we don't want Trump, because he's not really a Republican. But in the end, they just couldn't do it.
All right. So, but what's their master plan? Do you think, or maybe you've heard, or what you've heard, or what you think, to take it to a second ballot, maybe a third ballot? Are they going to then withdraw from Cruz? Are they supporting Cruz so that they could force the second ballot and the third ballot, and then have, whether it's a Kasich or a Ryan or a Romney or whomever, swoop in?
Steve, I think they've given up the ghost. I mean, I think they're pretty much in the third stage of grief. You know, you've gone from, I think that people now understand that it's going to be very hard to deny him the nomination because of his enormous showing, especially here in the Acela primaries, you know, these Northeast primaries. He just blew everybody away. He won every category, including women, which shocked me. Moderates, every age category. How do you say, after a showing like this, and let's say he's 100 votes short or less than that, no, I know our rules say we don't have to give it to you, but I don't think there's enough left of the Republican establishment and the Republican Party to deny him, to effectively deny him that
nomination. What about this marriage? I mean, to me, it was unseemly, it was pompous, it was presumptuous, it was arrogant. And is there a more unlikable pair, Carly and Cruz? What'd you think of him naming Carly his VP?
Well, as a reporter and as a journalist,
talk as yourself.
That's what I mean is when she started singing, I thought this is a moment that is going to reverberate from now until forever. We're going to be hearing that little song. They're just things you don't do as a candidate, like put a silly hat on your head.
Yes.
We've learned that, right?
Yes,
Dukakis.
yes.
And
carry ski waters with a suit and crawling into something. Yeah.
And unless you're Maria Callas or somebody like that, you don't sing. Unless you sing so badly that you can make fun of yourself. But this was in between. You know, what was he doing? What was he thinking? He was going to get her one delegate? I mean, what does she bring to this? I have no idea. It was so bizarre, and it came across to most reporters covering the campaign as an act of desperation.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the book. Yeah. The book, the story, Reporter's Journey. I mean, your journey, your life. I mean, when it was out in hardcover, you know, I was fascinated by it because you talk about the reporting on the intelligence leading up to the Iraq War.
Right.
You talk about your time in jail.
Yes.
I mean, you know, that's two things right there that the 99% of reporters don't have. Right. So you got that. So what are people going to learn? What do you believe is the most interesting couple of tales in this book?
I think what I tried to do in this book was to tell people who apparently have gotten the message already, but to show them why they have to be very skeptical of everything we in the press say. That even the most respected, reputable organizations do things that are oftentimes contrary to the truth, and that they ought to question everything they hear from everyone. I wanted to take people inside journalism and to make them understand what a really shabby shape the profession is in today.
Say that 3 times fast, by the way.
No, I don't think I will. Thank you. I mean, I worked for what I consider one of the best papers in the country for 28 years. And yet, when push came to shove, they would really not do the right thing by their readers. And what happened to me, never mind. The paper stood by me when I went to jail for the First Amendment. Right. So I have no complaints about that, and I wasn't fired. And
that was Scooter Libby, Valerie Plame, the whole thing.
That's right, the whole thing. It wasn't really about Scooter Libby. It was about sources. Yeah, sources. It was about, can you protect your sources? And believe me, the prosecutor wanted to know all of them. They weren't going to stop with Scooter Libby. But another reason I wrote the book is what happened to Scooter Libby. I mean, Scooter Libby was a public servant. Whether or not you agree with him, he was an extraordinary man who had given his life to public service. And to have what happened to him happen without any reporter really checking the facts or checking the charges and just assuming that this conviction was warranted. When I found out that I had given in error, that I had testified in error against him, I felt I had to write the book to set my record straight, to talk to people about what I got wrong.
That's what's so fascinating about the book. It reads like a novel, but it's all your true life experience. I mean that in a great way, and all these experiences. And folks, pick it up, The Story, A Reporter's Journey by the great Judith Miller. So great to see you. I wish we had so much more time. Thank you.